My topic is Bhagavad Gita and nutrition for mental health of students. See, the main problem Abdul Kalam had said was education has always been perverted to suit the interest of those in power. Now, why has it been this thing? I mean, he wrote this in 2009, and I came across. I was into psychology, we did make research into why behavior this thing, and basically I'm an engineer from IIT Bombay, and I started looking into physiology. Now, Maslow's model, it is based on transmarginal inhibition. People have not heard of this term, but Pavlov's dogs, that classical conditioning, after he got that classical conditioning, he started overstressing the dogs to a point where they broke down. And this is what happens to everyone, every organism. If it is overstressed or if it goes through traumas, it breaks down. The organism the mind closes down. So, the best study I found of this, and this study should be taught to all parents, because this happens, parents overstress their children sometimes, beating them, and the report recently is that 70% of the parents in Bombay, home-staying mothers beat their children, 70% in Bombay. That's a high percentage. So, the experiment was of B.F. Skinner. He kept animals in a box, the bottom of which could be electrified, and light comes on. A few seconds after, the floor is electrified. There's a small barrier in front of the box over which the animal can jump over. Now, just one of this light experiment, or maybe two, and after that the animal will jump over the barrier, and it will jump over the barrier and keep on jumping over the barrier till the day it dies, notwithstanding the fact that there was only one punishing incident, maybe two. This is what happens. The child is a very innocent child. It is born with pure knowledge, whatever natural knowledge, and it keeps on admitting all its faults to its parents. Mummy, I did this. Mummy, I did this. One day he says, Mummy, I broke your mobile phone. Tat! He gets a firing, or he gets shout, and that shout is a traumatic thing. He closes down. That fear, and then that fear response keeps on becoming a natural response of him. And when he grows and starts having problems, he can't talk to his parents. He can't communicate with them, how much ever you try to teach him. And this thing studies means basically inside the body there are, two types of memories. One is for the outside world. Learning is basically acquisition and storage of information as a consequence of experience, and we experience everything through our five senses. When we are conscious, we are learning from our eyes and ears. That is one, that's called the explicit memory or declarative memory. This is what the memory which you can think of. It's about the outside world. In the Indian concept, we can say the sansar ka gyan, sangya. The word sangya is there in Hindi. I don't know if it's there in Marathi, but it means a consciousness. It means a memory. It's consciousness memory. But the inner knowledge, next slide please. The inner knowledge that we are born with is the DNA information, which is the hereditary information which has been stored in our cells. And that cell is that is the pratyaksha gyan, or prakritik gyan, which we are born with. That is pragya. So, how much ever you teach a child or anybody about the sansar world, we need knowledge to control anything, to do anything, to create anything. But if it's the knowledge of the outside world, you can create great things, like rockets and things of that sort. But you can't change your own behavior inside. And that behavior can be changed only with the knowledge that's there inside the body. And we have to the sense of touch, for instance, we have to get and learn from the sense of touch. Under the skin of my palms alone, there are 5 different receptors: touch, light touch, heat, pressure, pain. And these heat and pain receptors are the nociceptors. They are the ones, I mean, whenever, like that shock incident, whenever a tissue tears or a ligament tears, or it is about to tear, we feel the body does feel pain and heat. And that is what our ancient knowledge was. Can you go ahead, please? Ahead. Ahead, next slide. See, I mean, the protein robots, I mean, the DNA information is coded in amino acid bases. 4 amino acid, this thing, they are all in amino acid base. They make the proteins. For whatever work is to be done, proteins are robots which done all the work in the body of in the cells. And what are the proteins made of? Nobody knows today. Parents don't know. Home science teachers ought to teach everyone that proteins can be made only from amino acids. 8 or 9 of which are essential. If you want to have balanced amino acid, you got to have balanced. I mean, if you want to have a balanced diet, you got to have balanced amino acids. I mean, they have for poultry. Finances are dependent upon their productivity. Poultries, they have ISI codes for amino acids, for 8 essential amino acids, different for broilers, different for layers. But we are more rich to the people when we fall sick. I mean, the pharmaceuticals make huge amounts of money, and doctors and pharmaceuticals huge if we fall sick. So, I mean, teachers need to, I mean, because see, I mean, this, the primer I have given in my book, the name of the primer which you can use, I mean, the Amino Revolution. It gives you how amino acids can be used to prevent stress, to prevent depression, to prevent a whole lot of things. I mean, even heart problems and other problems. But other book that is available, that is made by the Hyderabad Nutrition, this thing, I forget the name. Oh, there it is, Nutritive Value of Indian Foods by C. Gopalan. This gives the amino acid of each and every chakli, all the foods that Indian foods are there. But the only trouble is that this book has not been, I mean, it's been out of stock for over 10 years, maybe 20 years. So, I mean, education institutions should see to it that this book is available and make everyone, I mean, at least the home science teachers, to study that and balance the nutrition. Because see, I mean, the nutrition, I mean, all the problem in the brain is basically, I mean, if the nervous system cannot, brain is basically 100 billion cells making 1,000 connections. That means there are 100 trillion messages being transmitted in the brain all the time. If any foreign particle goes in the brain, it can damage the brain as well as it's all. And this nervous transmission in the cell, nervous cell, the message is transmitted as a electric signal between the cells. A chemical is released by the first nerve. It goes and attaches itself to the next nerve on the receptor. These are the neurotransmitters. And after the message is gone, the neurotransmitter comes back and is released from the receptor. Now, this neurotransmitter is very important. If these neurotransmitters cannot be manufactured, all the problems of nervous problems start happening, especially the consciousness. All see, basically, we have states of consciousness: sleeping state, deep sleeping state, drowsy state. And wakeful state. These have to be controlled, and the reticular activating system controls this, and the neurotransmitters that are most involved in controlling the states of consciousness are acetylcholine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. If these are not, cannot be they can be manufactured only if they are manufactured from, serotonin is manufactured from tryptophan, norepinephrine is manufactured from tyrosine, so is dopamine and adrenaline. They are manufactured from tyrosine, and acetylcholine is manufactured from choline or phosphatidylcholine, which is available in egg yolk or in lecithin, soya lecithin. So these have to be given to the child, and especially in stress what happens is adrenaline is released, a lot of adrenaline is released, and in stress, since there's a lot of work, you need to do a lot of work. So energy is required. So adrenaline is made from, see, the dopamine, norepinephrine and adrenaline are made from the neurotransmitter, from the amino acid tyrosine. And the physiology book says these neurotransmitters, these three neurotransmitters, play essential roles in states of consciousness, mood, motivation, selected attention, movement, blood pressure regulation and hormone release. So if this one particular amino acid, tyrosine, is not there, you start having all these problems. Especially movement suffers. And children, and in stress, when adrenaline is released, because adrenaline is released as a hormone in the bloodstream, so a lot of it is, when people are having stress, adrenaline goes away, means norepinephrine can't sing in states of consciousness. He starts developing altered states of consciousness, and all the physiology book says that altered states of consciousness is the characteristics of psychiatric illnesses. So a psychiatrist can just diagnose, take a test for tyrosine and give tyrosine. But tyrosine is not available in India today. The World Trade Organization, I don't know what it is. But this is one amino acid which is not available. So you have to go, I started experimenting on it. See, what happened was, I was a topper of my civil engineering department when I entered IIT in 1968. And in 1973, for my stress was so much that I started taking the tablets, which are today being prescribed for attention deficit, Adderall. And I became such a hopeless addict. The shots they gave me was so bad that today also I can't recognize. I have a condition called prosopagnosia, where I cannot recognize you all, but and faces, I cannot recognize faces. So, plus memory of what happens goes away, but with studies, at least my studies remain because of this meditation. This meditation, I'll talk, just the first thing that, I quit addiction by going for a Vipassana course, 10-day Vipassana course. I've done many 20-day, 30-day Vipassana courses, and afterwards I learned that this is the first instruction of Bhagavad Gita. Next slide, please. Last slide. I've covered all that. Last slide. Next slide. Next. Okay. So the Gita, the instruction of Krishna's Bhagavad, the Lord starts on 2:11, and then 2:14 it says Matras Varshastu Kaunteya. That means degrees of contact only, or degrees of sparsha only, are the producers of Shitoshna Sukha Dukkha. That means heat and pleasure, heat and cold, pleasure and pain. That means the nociceptors are produced only by contact of touch. They are impermanent, they have a beginning and an end, so bear them. This is Vipassana, and I have from a book of Anthony de Mello, I have given the link. His CD is available. You can just listen to that CD, and it's simple. You just listen to, keep awareness of your sense of touch. Generally we are not, so we close our eyes, keep awareness of our sense of clothes touching your shirt, back, hands touching the thighs, thighs touching chair, and the feet touching the floor or your shoes. Just keep on going this round, only seeing the sensations at each place for just 1 or 2 seconds, but keep on doing it. Return back to the body. After some time you start feeling sensations in the different parts of the body. Just be aware of them and bear them. Sometimes you feel very good sensations, sometimes you feel very bad sensations. But the more you see, because those sense receptors, we don't know when those nociceptors get activated by when ligaments tear or when they are about to tear. So when they are about to tear, we start feeling the pain. But nothing is going to happen. We are not going really, our health is not going to suffer because of that. It's only when they're about to really tear, then we suffer. So you can bear much more pain than we do. So this training has to be given, and I have started teaching the children, and they said 4-year-old child, she sits much better than me, and Another counselor who's a disability children, she says, oh my Raji, that chap couldn't sit for 2 minutes, 1 minute, and now he's sitting for 5 hours. He had to be. So this is this is called body psychotherapy. Anyway, I mean, I've taken time and I've covered everything. If there are any questions, because a person who does this, does not get disturbed by these body sensations, is the calm man who is the same in pleasure and pain. And the Gita says that he alone is fit to attain Amrit. Amrit is the deathless state of consciousness. I mean, if you go to see my, next slide, if you go and see my website, our NGO's website, I have Vipassana's founder, Ubakin, his paper on that experience of that state is on that site, Karma Yoga. www.karmayog, this dot is missing over there. That and well, thank you. Since you're glad you're already finished, no? Okay, I finished. Any questions? So, I mean, I propose that this thing should be taught to the children. Because outside learning, you tell them how much you want, it will go through one ear and out the other. But once this teaching is there, see, because a child is very sensitive than their learning, and the aim of education should be to raise children so that they don't become misfits in life, but at the same time they don't lose the extraordinary sensitiveness that they are born with. Our shouting, our teaching is killing that sensitiveness, and that's what we need to maintain. Thank you.